Hey guys, Tarke and a cat, and we're looking at Paladin today. Before we continue, I've just woken up this release of the night, so sorry for the delay. I've been a little bit croaky. Ugh. Anyway, let's just get to it. So, we continue our early look at class and specialization design with the Paladin. In these blogs, we'll be exploring class identity, discussing Legion's new designs, and presenting core combat abilities for each specialization, laying out the foundation upon which talents and artifacts will build further. And with that in mind, let's delve into what it means to be a paladin in World of Warcraft. Paladins have deep roots in Warcraft lore as holy knights, protectors of the people and dispersers of justice, where a holy priest serves as voice of the light, preaching to the downtrodden and disillusioned. The paladin serves as a hand of the light, defending the faithful and enforcing divine law like a righteous hammer. The niche of the plate-wearing holy Crusader is well established in paladin gameplay, with one key exception. Whether paladins are mitigating enemy attacks, aiding their allies, or delivering penitive justice, it's in their nature to serve in the thick of battle. But while holy paladins possess the heavy armor and strong defense ability theme, in practice they spend most of their time behind the front lines with more fragile healers. In addition to showing up their identities of protection and retribution, we're adjusting holy paladin gameplay to bring them closer to the front where they belong. Okay, so we're going to start getting like a melee style healer. That would be really cool. Holy. Like priests who serve the light, holy paladins are devout in their faith. After spending much of their lives in hallowed halls studying divine doctrines, those who pledge themselves to a holy order become beacons of the light for their allies in combat. Well played, Blizzard. Taking up the heavy armor and weaponry of justice, holding the unwavering belief that any battle waged to eradicate evil in the world is righteous. These paladins stand on the front lines in service to all others dedicated to the cause. The truth and virtue of the light imbues these sacred knights with the power to revitalize their comrades. If necessary, they even lay down their own lives to serve as a martyr for the greater good. Okay, so that sounds pretty awesome to begin with. We love the unique identity of the Paladin Healer, and we are modifying the gameplay to better support it. Single target healing from Beacon of Light remains their marquee ability, but other abilities and talents have been adjusted to encourage holy paladins to be near the people they want to heal, including melee characters when necessary. This is incentivized by Lightbringer, a new mastery which increases healing on allies near you. Okay, that makes sense. This is further reinforced by the addition of a row of aura talents that provides a variety of localized beneficial effects, and refinements to some spells such as Light of Dawn, returning to being a cone. Okay, so this will be quite interesting. I can imagine this working very well in raiding, but in stuff like Arena it might be a bit difficult being like near the melee. We'll have to see. Talents will also provide players with options to incorporate offensive capabilities while healing. When allies are in need, Light of the Martyr allows the Holy Paladin to rapidly heal them by sacrificing personal health. Very cool. Finally, we're addressing gameplay restrictions caused by Holy Power, in which players often feel forced to use abilities in specific orders or ratios, by removing it in favour of making the mana the primary resource. So they're going to remove it completely? Okay. To give you an idea of how the Holy Paladin in action, here's a basic look at their core combat abilities. Holy Light, 2% mana, 40 yard range, 2.5 second cast. A slow but efficient spell, healing a friendly target for a moderate amount. Flash of Light, 4% mana, 40 yard range, 1.5 second cast. A quick but expensive heal, healing a friendly target for a moderate amount. Light of the Martyr, 2.5% mana, 40 yard range, instant. Unleash a wave of healing energy before you, healing up to 5 injured allies within a 15-yard frontal cone for a moderate amount. Okay, so the cone that we were talking about earlier. Holy Shock, 1.5% mana, 40-yard range, instant 10-second cooldown. Instantly trigger a burst of light on the target, dealing moderate holy damage to an enemy or moderate healing to an ally. Holy Shock is double the normal critical strike chance. Okay, so looking at it to begin with, we're going to have a cooldown rotation gameplay of Light of Dawn and Holy Shock, so probably nothing too major from the current stand. Infusion of Light. Passive. Your Holy Shock criticals reduce the cast time of your next Holy Light by 1.5 seconds, or increase the healing of your next Flash of Light by 50%. Okay, so I quite like that. So in the case of mana being an issue, you obviously go for the faster Holy Lights to conserve your mana. But if you either don't care about mana or you need the raw healing output, you then just spam Flash of Light. So, that's quite good synergy, and I like it when you have the decisions between your spell choices. Let's put this cat down. Beacon of Light, 1.5% mana, 60-yard range, instant 3-second cooldown. Place a Beacon of Light on the friendly target. Your heals on other party or raid members will also heal the Beacon of Light target for 50% of the amount healed. Your Flash of Light and Holy Light on the Beacon of Light target will also fund 40% of the mana cost. Pretty standard. Mastery, Lightbringer. Proximity to your target causes your spells to heal for up to 30% with Mastery from typical gear more. That's quite a big amount, to be fair. Additionally, to provide a glimpse of how some talents may build upon this, here's one example of a wholly specific talent. Beacon of the Lightbringer. Passive. The maximum bonus from Mastery Lightbringer is increased by 24% and now increases your healing based on the target's proximity to either you or Beacon of Light, whichever is closer. Okay, so that'll be some quite good counterplay where you can choose your positioning. So, for example, if you have like a ranged group at the back which need burst healing, you throw a beacon into there where you stay with the melee or you stay in between the ranged. Yeah, no, that'll be interesting. Might also be quite good for PvP in the case where, you know, you don't want to be out in the open because of interrupts and stuff. You can throw beacons out instead. That's interesting. Protection. The Paladin's tools of war lay bare their motivations. Clenched in one hand is the weapon, a deadly device for exacting righteous judgment. Locked in the other hand is the shield, a symbolic and literal barrier protecting good from evil. Stalwart and steadfast, these protectors are ardent defenders of the light and all that it touches, and are rejuvenated by its radiance in return. So dedicated they are to their cause that they concentrate in the very ground upon which the battle corruption. I completely butchered that last sentence. So dedicated they are to the cause that they consecrate the very ground upon which they battle corruption. That makes more sense. Gameplay. The Protection Paladin arsenal is already closely aligned with its theme. The primary change is the removal of holy power, which didn't have a lot of depth and mostly amounted in limiting use to only a couple of abilities. Instead, these abilities now have cooldowns to allow for better interaction with other abilities. I wonder if... I'm assuming Ret will keep holy power, and Ret will be the only holy power spec. Interesting. Personally, I prefer cooldown style to combo points on a tank. We're also addressing an awkward control issue with Crusader Strike and Hammer of the Righteous. To improve control and depth, instead of two functioning identically, apart from the AoE abilities, we've switched to one that conditionally triggers the AoE while standing Consecration. Okay. Judgment is a good example of an ability that is staying simple, baseline, so to provide a strong platform for talents and other effects to build upon. For defensive buttons, we've replaced Word of Glory with a self-focused spell, Light of the Protector, allowing it to be more interesting and impactful. Makes sense. If you put something on a cooldown, then it's generally harder to abuse it by having, you know, Holy Light build up and so on and so forth. Defensive. Shield of the Righteous. Melee range, instant, 12-second recharge, 3 charges. Instantly slam the target with your shield, causing holy damage and reducing damage you take by 25% for 4.5 seconds. Now, before we continue, this is the first tank we've seen, and this is their active mitigation, and they've put 3 charges with a 12-second recharge and a 4.5-second duration. Now, I'm not saying all tanks will have the exact same setup, but we will imagine we'll get more 2 or 3 charge style abilities with a roughly 4-second-ish timer, because I imagine they'll work fairly similar in that regard. So keep that in mind if you play a tank. Light of the Protector, instant, 15-second cooldown. Cools down the light to heal yourself for 50% of your missing health. Wow. So every 15 seconds you get a 50% heal? Oh, well, 50% of your missing health. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, so there's some reward to saving it rather than just always spamming it on cooldown. So there's some synergy between, you know, planning and cooldown mashing. No, I like that approach. That's good. Redoubt. Passive. Your auto attacks, critical strikes cause you to gain a charge of a Shield of the Righteous or Light of the Protector. Mastery, Divine Bulwark. Increase the damage reduction of your Shield of the Righteous by 10% with Mastery from typical gear, and increase your chance to block melee attacks by 20% from Mastery from typical gear, and increase your attack power by 20% with Mastery from the typical gear. Offense, Avenger's Shield. 30-yard range, instant 15-second cooldown. Hurls your shield at an enemy target. dealing strong holy damage, interrupting and silencing the target for 3 seconds, and then jumping to 2 additional nearby enemies. Also increase the effects of your next Shield of the Righteous or Light of the Protector by 20%. Hammer of the Righteous. Melee range instant. 3-second recharge, 2 charges, so once again the charge system. Hammer the current target for moderate physical damage. If you're standing in your consecration, Hammer of the Righteous also causes a wave of light that hits all other targets within 8 yards for minor holy damage. So basically, if you're AoEing, you AoE more. Grand Crusader. Passive. When you avoid a melee attack or use Hammer of the Righteous, you have a 15% chance of refreshing the cooldown on Avenger's Shield. So basically, there'll be some quite interesting gameplay between trying to force a cooldown reset by saving up charges of Hammer of the Righteous. And that also makes sense thematically because you're going to be using it in AoE scenarios. And then generally in AoE scenarios, you've got lots of things on you. So by naturally pressing it, it resets the charges, means you throw out more AoE threat, meaning more things hit you, which give you more AoE threat because it resets your cooldowns. So that's quite nice design. I like that. It's a good flow and it fits the theme well. Grand Crusader. Oh, I just read that, sorry. Judgment. 30-yard ranged, instant 6-second cooldown. Judge an enemy dealing strong holy damage, so not much change there. Consecration, instant, 9-second cooldown. Consecrate the land beneath you, causing strong holy damage over 9 seconds to enemies who enter the area. Additionally, to provide a glimpse of how some talents may build upon this, here's one example of a protection-specific talent. Blessed Hammer. Instant, 3-second recharge, 2 charges. Throw a divine hammer that spirals outward from the Paladin, dealing moderate holy damage to enemies it passes through. Replaces Hammer of the Righteous. Oh, cool, so we're finally getting Hammerdins in World of Warcraft. No, I really like that. So, yeah, that's cool. Basically, you just get more AoE and you'll get a somewhat ranged ability encompassed into it rather than having a melee AoE. No, I really like that. I'd be quite interested to see if it paths out the same way it used to in Diablo. If you don't know, this was a ability which is incredibly popular in Diablo. Got brought in with Reaper and Souls when they made the Crusader and is now being brought even into World of Warcraft. So, big fan of that as a D3 fanboy myself. Retribution. To serve as instruments of the light is to hold an unshakable faith. Oftentimes the most dedicated paladins become fanatical in their devotion, instruments of retribution against those who would defy the laws of the divine. These paladins are vengeful guardians of the weak, crusaders judging and punishing the wicked. Their resolute conviction in the divine order of all things assumes that their victory is inevitable, but they will fight to the end to ensure that the light prevails. I like how they went a little bit dark at the start with the whole fanatical thing. No, I think that it fits the theme well if they touch upon that sort of darker aspect of Retribution. We're making several tweaks to Retribution to amplify their character. In particular, we're refocusing most of their core abilities on short-range combat. So many of the Retribution Paladin's abilities were ranged spells. They start to feel more like a caster than a melee crusader. A new ability, Blade of Justice, along with several new talents, will impact gameplay significantly, bolstering the inherent Retribution themes. Separating them from other types of Paladin, Retribution Paladins continue to use Holy Power, serving as a strong mechanic for building interesting gameplay. So yeah, as predicted, Retribution will be keeping Holy Power. No major surprises there. To give an idea of how the Retribution works in action, here's a basic look at their core combat abilities. Crusader Strike, melee range, instant, 4.5 second cooldown, an instant strike that causes moderate physical damage and grants 1 holy power. Blade of Justice, 12-yard range, instant, 12 second cooldown. Strikes an enemy with the Blade of Justice, dealing strong holy damage and generating 2 holy power. Okay, so we can already see the rotation falling into place. Judgment, 30-yard range, instant, 12 second cooldown. Judge an enemy dealing moderate holy damage and causing the target to take 30% increased damage from your holy power generators and consumers for 6 seconds. Okay, so you open with Judgment, which makes sense because it's ranged. Then you move into Blade of Justice, then you move into Crusader Strike, and then you go into a Spender. Makes very good sense because, you know, your Spenders cost 3, so you can weave that gameplay very, very easily. And I'm assuming Judgment will have like a cooldown reset chance. Anyway, Templar's Verdict. 3 holy power, melee range, instant. A powerful weapon strike that deals massive holy damage. Divine Storm. 3 holy power, instant. A whirl of divine energy, dealing strong holy damage to all enemies within 8 yards. Conviction. Passive. Your Crusader Strike and Blade of Justice have a 20% chance to generate 1 additional holy power. Okay, so basically you just have a inbuilt chance of getting more holy power. Mastery, Hand of the Light. Your Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, Divine Storm, and Templar's Verdict deal 45% with Mastery from typical gear additional holy damage. Basically, they just hit really hard. Additionally, to provide a glimpse of how some talents may build upon this, here's an example of a Retribution specific talent. Lothar's Might. 30-yard range, instant 30-second cooldown. Flings a blade of holy light to the target location. Reactivating will teleport the paladin to the blade and strike nearby enemies for moderate holy damage. Replaces Hand of Hindrance. Okay, let's just stop there for a second. 1. What is Hand of Hindrance? And 2. Paladins getting a blink. They're getting a 30-yard blink with a 30-second cooldown. Okay, that's going to be really cool. And I can already imagine the animation. Notice how they keep saying blades throughout. It seems they've replaced most of the hammer abilities with blades, since you're going to be using Ashbringer, obviously. So you like fling the Ashbringer forward, teleport the end, do this massive, great big sweep. Yeah, no, that's very cool. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah. Yeah, and I like the nod to Lothar. Very well done. That is very, very cool. We hope you've enjoyed this early preview of our approach to Paladin class and specialization design in World of Warcraft Legion. We'll continue our review tomorrow with a look at Warlocks, Death Knights, and Shaman. So, again, apologies that this video is a little bit late. It did get released while I was in bed. And I will have the Warlock, Death Knight, and Shaman videos as soon as they're available. Apologies for any stumbles. As I said, I've literally just woken up. I'm Tarke, the cat's AFK. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you like this video. Bye-bye.